Welcome back to... Berta! I can't keep up! Swedish striker Viktor Gyökeres looks like he's on his way to Arsenal. After initial reports in March of this year that Andrea Berta was a firm admirer of the Sporting CP striker, and after enduring what felt like decades of the Šeško v Gyökeres debates, it looks like a decision has finally been made. As of recording the video, it's not quite done. There appears to be some kind of discrepancy over the fee. There's rumours that things aren't done because the Sporting president pulled the deal. And who knows, maybe this video ends up being pointless. That would be fun, wouldn't it? As people know, Šeško was my personal first pick, but it looks like we may have been priced out of that move. And although I do have a weird feeling there's going to be another big twist in this saga, it looks like Gyökeres is our man. First, headline. More important than anything else I'm going to say today, Arsenal are signing a striker. That is undeniably a good thing. I mean, TalkSport will have nothing to say. Your football casual mate at the office has zero banter left. This is a big step forward in Arsenal's window and in the project as a whole. But that doesn't mean I don't have some concerns. Look, I'm not going to be able to stop the cascade of comments of people ignoring everything positive I'm about to say about the player. In some ways, that's just the nature of the internet. When you say you're even slightly concerned about a signing in this day and age, some people, and it is a vocal minority, seem to want to put you in a camp.
Oh, you hate him. You said you didn't want him. You want him to go to Azkaban.
But I know the silent majority who watch these videos aren't 12 and would appreciate there's shades of grey to every signing, every decision in life. These things are not binary, and hopefully, even if you disagree on my concerns, you appreciate my honesty. And here's my honesty on Gyökeres. At the right price, in the right context, there's a lot of upside to this player. As I say, headline, Arsenal signed a striker. Great. But it comes with more concerns than I wanted it to. I like some of the prices I've seen quoted, so let's see what happens there. I love the way he's forcing the move. I see big upside in the player, but I'm not going to lie and say why Gyökeres is perfect for Arsenal for views. Look, I'm a YouTuber. The club have professional scouts. Take their opinion over mine. But I will never lie on this channel about what I think or adjust my opinion because I think it will play better with the majority. Not on Fabio Vieira, not on Odegaard, not on Tony, not on Jesus, not on Tierney, and not even on the stuff I get wrong, which is a lot as well. And finally, I want to be crystal clear on one thing. If Gyökeres bangs, great. I'm not into that player war stuff. All I care about is Arsenal winning. So if he scores loads of goals for us, great. I'm wrong. Good. Anyway, enough of that. Let's dive in with some big, big positives. Viktor Gyökeres is a prime, peaking striker who adds skills we do not have in the team. He's a bully, tick. He is a brilliant channel running presence, tick. He has excellent ball striking quality, tick. He is strong and tall, tick. He's clearly ambitious, and his story in football speaks to a guy who is very mentally strong. Viktor Gyökeres scores goals. And Arsenal need goals. We'll talk translation later, but there is huge value in someone who just bangs them in for fun, no matter the context. 97 goals and 28 assists in 102 Sporting CP games cannot be ignored. And even 15 goals for Sweden in 26 games, despite an unconventional start to his career, is a decent return. He scored 10 more league goals last season than the previous one, and made the step up from Europa League to Champions League, scoring 6 goals in 8 games in the process. He won the league and cup double last season, won Swedish Footballer of the Year in 2023 and 2024, has won the Liga Portugal's Player of the Month 7 times in 2 years, is the most recent Nation League's top scorer, and has countless other individual and collective titles. Very, very impressive. He is relentless. He runs and runs and runs with this real barrel-like quality. His trademark skill, the goal you'll see over and over again, is with his truly top-level transition quality. Top speed over long distances, drifting to the left, and usually managing to get a shot off. Have a look at this data from Wanalyst007 on X. Gyökeres is getting some of the highest amount of touches in the box in Europe. And yes, some of that's down to team dynamics, but a lot of that is his doing. He's very involved in attacks, and he's in relatively good company in terms of how many shots he gets off from those touches. I'd like to see him in that Isak, Watkins, Haaland category because they're getting similar shots from less touches in a harder context. But he will add something for us here in a shot-shy team. Noni Madueke, I see you. He's a lot of what Kai Havertz isn't to me. And that is a massive pro. Chaos, running, that I'm going to kill your grandma for a goal gene. It's great. And he's self-sufficient as well, fashioning opportunities for himself, which I think is something that our players don't really have as a group. Arsenal fans will remember his run against us up against Kivior in the Champions League last season, and our transition quality just got much better with him on the pitch. Because Gyökeres is pretty quick as well. When you look at his peak sprint velocity, he clocks in at around 30 or 31 kilometers an hour top speeds consistently. The very, very quickest in Europe can be hitting 33, 34. The quickest in the Premier League hit 37.12 last season in Van der Ven, although this data was from around October 2024, so it could be higher. But for a striker of his frame, he can move. And when you look at the shot map from the league this season, although that drift to the left is his trademark, he actually has a good range of shots from various locations, which is a really good sign. He finishes off both feet pretty well, but favours his right. Smaller sample size, but here's his 24-25 Champions League data against some better opposition. And again, some really, really exciting headlines. A goal basically every other game, overperforming his XG, good goal probability added. Guys, he's obviously too good for where he is and deserves to be playing top-level football. The question is it for Arsenal? Because we're also beginning to tip into concerns here, as you can see on this data. His aerial numbers, his defensive actions, which is pass adjusted by the way, how many turnovers he's giving away, and a few other things. And my concern as a headline is not, is he a good player? It's, how does he translate to this Arsenal side? Is he what we need? I'm going to try and be as constructive as I can and not bash the player. And before we get into the specifics, I want to say, if I'm paying £50 million for him, a lot of this stuff I'd be okay with. You go, well, you win some, you lose some. But if we're paying £70 million, which is the latest fee I'm seeing, I'm going to be more critical. In the end, a lot of this comes back to what you're paying and what you expect. And maybe the system is so good that a lot of this will be hidden. Who knows? My position is we can't be sure. And that's what I want to show you. Okay, I know it's tempting to look at the goal record and go, we're overthinking this, he scores goals. And if you want to say that, okay, no worries, enjoy your summer. But the club's job is to overthink this. They have to analyze this because they're spending tens of millions of pounds. Will he translate, in my view, is the most important question here. Imagine I made a video suggesting we sign Jake Tabor, who's just signed for Swindon, because he scored 127 goals in 91 appearances. Rightly, absolutely rightly, you would laugh at me. It's a stupid thing to say. But in that laugh, you're admitting something. You're admitting you can't just take numbers out of context and not think about how they're going to translate through league quality, technical quality, physical quality, mental fit, and so on and so forth. And the first problem is this. I worry Victor Gyökeres is too technically clunky to deal with top-level defenders. Could he get by on his physical attributes? Well, maybe, but when you're a bit clunky and you're up against the hyper athletes of the Premier League who can manipulate their body quickly, they can jump as high as you, they can run as fast as you, they can repeat sprint as much as you, it becomes more of a concern. It's not he is or he isn't technically good. We don't do black and white here. And I'm sure you could find clips of him getting stuff right, but I just see too much of the following when I watch him closely. As always, I encourage people to go and watch these clips properly because I can't do justice with them through screenshots. There's a clip of him playing for Coventry going around, which kind of perfectly sums this up. He scores this amazing goal. What a rocket. I have some questions about the defending, but fine. But he drops off the last line, and in the space of 2 touches, I count 7 steps needed to bring it under his control because he's too square on and doesn't adjust himself quick enough. And you see these red flags throughout his goal catalogue. Goal against CD Nacional, rockets it in the back of the net from wide, great, but takes 2 big, heavy touches to bring it under control in the build-up, which the defender should snuff out. Goal against Forenza, back to goal, takes it okay, but again, I count 5 steps before he takes his next action and starts the dribble. Defender just backs off. Goal against Porto, heavy touch, which shows too much of it to Pepe. Ball gets stuck under his feet. He gets it out. Pepe tackles him, but it sort of hits his midriff and falls for him, and he gets his shot off. A lot of his actions, a lot of his goals are like this. Now, what you're hearing is also the word goal, which is a good thing, but no one is questioning the goal bit. The question is, can he make those mistakes in the build-up in the Premier League? Let's try and answer that, and let's watch him in the game against us. He has a few really good moments, but again, it's just inconsistent. 36 minutes. In a moment against Saliba here, especially against a top-level defender, when you've got the run on him, you need to be getting low and allowing the ball to come to you to hold it in order to win the duel. Instead, he goes to the ball, gets himself off balance, and Saliba wins it. 58 minutes. Here against Gabriel, great opportunity, but he's trying to protect the ball with his back, not his legs and bum, which means his weight is too high, and you can see how that throws him off. Gabriel flicks it, he gets shut down. 66 minutes, back to goal, lovely position, but too square on again to take the ball quickly in 1 or 2 steps. Ignores the run, okay, he's a 9, he's selfish, but then 6 steps from first control to shot. You don't have that time. And of course, his shot gets blocked. This isn't necessarily fair, but just for comparisons, supreme technical efficiency would be that Isak goal against Liverpool. Preps his body to receive on the angle, he's not square on, 1 touch to control, onto his right, shot. shot within 3 touches, and that's on the run with less time. Again, Gyökeres isn't rubbish or washed. He's a footballer worth tens of millions of pounds. It's just, can you afford to make these mistakes against the better defenders? And he can do it. 73 minutes. Look at this. Perfect technique. Deals with Saliba well. He's away, which is maybe encouraging if he has some coaching and time in training up against our defenders. But watch his general play. Watch him dribble. Watch him move. It's arms, legs, lots of steps, lots of touches, lots of movement and chaos. A lot of the time, lots of time needed for each action. As we sort of touched on earlier, as a positive, if you look at the one big deficiency from his attacking play in general on the data from Scott Willis here, you can see it's actually the amount of shots he gets off per deep touches. And this is in his current context. Why is that? Well, I think it's all related to this issue. Taking too long to get shots off, making mistakes, and not setting himself properly. You can say, oh yeah, but he's a battering ram though, so who cares if it's all a bit over the place? Well, according to SofaScore, against Man City and Arsenal in the Champions League, he's gone up for 16 duels across those 2 games and won 3. That technical side matters less if you're bigger and faster than everyone in Portugal. But what if you're not? Go back and watch the dialogue with the midfield section that we did on the Canon Podcast Scouted episode on him, and you'll see a lack of care and quality at times with how he brings others into play. I'm not expecting the fluidity of a Pedri or efficiency in every touch, but the very, very best players who we will be compared to in tighter spaces with better defenders, with more compactness of lines, are more efficient. Is this going to massively matter? I don't know. But the key part is neither you nor I know. At the moment, all we can say is let's wait and see. But let's say you don't care about that. That's a load of overthought rubbish. He's going to be fine. We overrate the Premier League defenders. Whatever. I'm a curly-haired idiot. Fine. Okay. You'll notice if you watch a Gyökeres best actions comp or goal comp or his games, his best moments come largely from runs in behind, right? This is an excellent bit of data from Scouted Football and Skill Corner. This is runs in behind received per match in Europe for top attackers versus percentage of those leading to shots. And you can see Gyökeres sticks out like a sore thumb, which on first glance looks great. We want outliers. This is a proper runner. It's positive. But delve a bit deeper and we might see an issue. He gets a lot of balls played to him, more than anyone else in Europe. But actually converting those into shots, he's on the lower end of the scale for conversions, which I put at least partly down to his technical inefficiency. And a reminder, he's 27. So we're basically making a gamble. Do we think we can put 6 balls in behind for Gyökeres per game? Do we think we can do that? And even if we did do that, are we not worried about the conversion rate? If his big selling point is goals, and that's how he scores goals, and we can't recreate that, is that not a concern? You might say that's because we're going to change and be a transition team. Come on, think. But I ask you this. Is Mikel Arteta, with one player who we're pretty sure isn't his number 1 pick, considering he signed Zubimendi, considering what he's done in the previous 5 seasons, is he going to turn us into this mad transition team? Considering he's on record as saying we want to be kings of everything. I think he'll improve us on the transition and he'll score more goals from the high turnovers to shot thing I constantly bang on about. But 6 a game? Other issues. I hear there are more clips out there, but in all of my research of him, I've seen him score 2 headed goals. Bukayo Saka scored more headed goals in 24-25 than Victor Gyökeres. We can say, oh, football's played on the ground, bro. Henry only scored 6 headers, but come on, we're in a very, very different era and time. For a team that focuses on playing down the sides and a lot of low blocks, a lot of balls to the back post, a lot of half-space crosses, we want our centre-forward to be able to head. And then, sorry, because I'm sure you've heard this, we come to analysing the actual goal record itself. 54 goals for Sporting last season sounds amazing, but 20 were penalties. Yes, every big attacker takes penalties. He's won many of them. You have to score them. But that's coming up to 40% of his goals coming from the spot in all competitions. Mo Salah gets clowned for stat padding and scoring loads of penalties, and he only scored 11 last season. Also, say he becomes our penalty taker, what happens to Saka's numbers? And then you look even deeper. 31 of his 39 Liga Portugal goals in 24-25 were against the bottom half teams. He scored 1 goal against the top 3 in 24-25. And when you look at a list of Liga Portugal top scorers since 03-04, we see it rarely goes well when these players come to the English game or even just go abroad in general. It's a big risk. And when you watch the general standard of defending, I have questions. For those unfamiliar, the Opta Power Rankings assess and rate over 15,000 men's and women's teams across the globe based on advanced performance metrics, and their most recent update had the Portuguese league below the Championship and the Belgian league in terms of average team quality, and also had some League One teams stronger than some Primeira Liga teams. If we were signing someone who'd been banging them in for Club Brugge for £70 million, you'd at least be wait and see. Some might say, well, you can only score against what's in front of you. Look at him in Europe or look at him for Sweden. But again, you look at the particulars. Only 5 goals for Sweden before 2023 and his 9 goals in 2024, making him the UEFA Nations League top scorer, were all against 3 teams: Azerbaijan, Estonia and Slovakia. But he scored a hat-trick in the Champions League against Man City. That's enough. Yeah, but again, 2 were penalties and 1 was a 1v1 against Simpson Pusey. That can't be our justification for this is definitely going to translate. Again, we don't know. Trying to be constructive, he did score against Leipzig and Lille though. Again, his trademark transition goal against Leipzig, but lovely, lovely feat against Lille. He can do that. This is the thing. It's just inconsistent. Again, even for the most optimistic of optimists, he definitely will translate. Feels like a high bar. I've laid out many, many positives, which I'm sure won't be ignored by anyone. And I'm not writing him off. I will not write off any Arsenal player until I see them in the shirt. But I'm also accused of blindly approving everything the club does, so you can't win. What do I think could translate well? Quite a lot. If he gets himself into good positions, I think the ball striking translates basically anywhere. His physical bullying when he faces you up, yep, that works. He'll definitely sniff some goals in the box. He's got good movement. And as I say, he helps our transitions. But again, sorry to hammer the point home. Not saying he won't. Just don't know how we're sure. But okay, let me put it a different way. I'd want something else probably, but was that available? Šeško, I think, has a higher ceiling and has way more general upside, but he's hardly a bagsman yet. And if it's 90 million, what's the point? Then where do we go? Isak isn't moving. Osman isn't moving. I would have gone Watkins over Gyökeres, but there's hardly a laundry list of names. And at least we have made a decision. What's worse, Gyökeres or no striker? No striker, definitely. And as I said earlier, so much of this comes back to what he's coming in to do for what price. If he's coming in to rival Haaland and Isak for £80 million, I don't think that's happening. But if he's 50, 60 million, scores, I don't know, 20 non-penalty goals across all competitions, supports Havertz, great. Can he be part of a Premier League winning team? Absolutely, for sure. But it's back to what I said earlier. If I'm paying £70 million for that, the latest fee suggested by Sammy Mokbul, then I want more. The only centre-forwards ever signed for over £70 million in the Premier League are Lukaku and Nunes, I think, which might tell us something else about a precedent. I look at Ollie Watkins, it feels like a much safer pair of hands that's cheaper and only 2 years older, but doesn't stop you doing something else down the line. I look at Julian Alvarez, Retegui, Ekitike, Samu at Porto, João Pedro, Delap, Lautaro, Marcus Thuram looks really good in some deep dives I've seen. And I just wonder. Look, as I say, I don't know. I'm not a scout. Maybe this is the best thing we could have possibly done. This could be analysis by paralysis. I'm totally overthinking. It's possible, and I hope I am. Maybe a positive I didn't touch on enough is how he helps bring other people into play. I think him drifting left could work wonders with a Martinelli or a Rodrigo, and maybe that's part of the thinking too. If I'm sat here making a Why Gyökeres Proved Me Wrong video in October, I suspect that'll be a big part of the reason. And to be fair, I do love Gyökeres' desire to play for us. The stories about his salary, even breaking up with his girlfriend, if that's true. I mean, that has to count for something. How much that desire matters when push comes to shove and you're staring at Van Dijk or Ruben Diaz, let's see. I want to be careful we don't overrate that. But I think it does fit in here. I don't know, guys. You tell me. Am I just deluded? Don't answer that. Am I just justifying everything the club does because I'm paid by Kit? Oh, sorry, wrong one. Am I just trying to be a hipster and going against the grain here? As I say, it's a net positive. I'm broadly okay because we've got a 9 done. But I can't help but feel we've left the party a bit early. Maybe there's a price where this makes sense. Maybe the translation does work. Maybe he's 55 million and him and Havertz strike up a great partnership and he helps everyone around him in a way I don't envisage, and Rodrigo and Eze come in and we all run off into the sunset with the Premier League and the Champions League under our arms. Maybe there's another twist in all of this. The fact is, no one knows. We have to wait and see. I've always hated having doubts before people put on the shirt, which is probably why I see people sometimes memeing me for this phrase. I would love to be wrong. And on Gyökeres, that's where I'm at. Better to be memed for that than blanking on shirt sponsors, eh? A football player in an Arsenal shirt gets my full support because they're an Arsenal player, plain and simple. But support to me doesn't mean blind approval. It just means for 90 minutes, as is so beautiful about the game, I'm rooting for them. And I'm rooting for Gyökeres to change my mind. I'm just not sure he will, to the level I need. Maybe we need to trust the club, trust Arteta, trust Berta. Because on this one, I'd love to be wrong. Thanks so much for watching.
If you like The Different Knock, you can support us on Patreon and get ad-free early access to each video for just £3 a month. Or for one-time support, you can buy us a coffee. Links are in the description.